I just showed you the teaching panel with the current classes. Here's information about our SIG. There's our officer list, if you need to find that. There's all of our past newsletters. I don't post those for at least a month or so after they're out, because one of the privileges of being a member of the club is that you get your newsletter mailed right to you the first of the month. And of course, for anybody who needs new applications, renewal applications, we've got them on there. There's the web forum, and other links of whatever. So everything is right there, easy to find. I've also added a new thing. I've been trying to get this added for a good while, and we had it on the old web page when we were doing it, but now we're using the WordPress. But if you haven't noticed it, right there at the top, it should have been the first thing you noticed.
I never did see it until you wrote it to me.
Mary Francis. That's because you forget your schooling. We always start at the top and work
Did
down.
everybody else see it except me?
I didn't tell anybody else but you guys about it. So right here is a new way, and I've gotten feedback that some people say, well, I like it this way, because when you click on events, this one is in general listing. So there's today's meeting, there's the recycle event Friday and Saturday, there's the Linux help desk the next day. And if you come here, you can find out that it's here, it tells you location, and if you hit Google Map, it even shows you where it is. Now, we're always here, and you can see that Google has an updated picture from us. I think one time we saw Google, and it was one of our members' pickup trucks that was sitting out there at the time. So, you can come there and find out more information. Now, everything that we do is done here, but in the old days, this would have been fine, because we could have had the activities out at the A-frame, the activities that were being done at Zerger Hall. In the old days, the Windows was down at Phyllis's house, and I don't know where else things. So those who like it in a listing, you now have the listing one. So we provide it any which way to help people out. All right, so as I said, after the first... Whoa! Oh, you like that picture, huh?
Wow.
After the first of the month, we were informed that, I guess due to health reasons, our vice president and program chair was not able to continue. And so we were kind of without something for today, because it was kind of too late. You got to have some time to prepare for a program. But I found something that I thought would be of interest, and told my wife that on the way, I'm going to wait and see who's here and propose how many would be interested in this topic that I had listed as a possible topic. And if we have people that are interested, we'd watch that part. And then I would say, okay, how many people would be interested in this topic that's being covered? And if we have people who are interested, we'll watch it. If we have people that we aren't interested, we won't watch it, and we will sit here and look at each other until somebody comes up with something to talk about, because you came here to learn something. I hope you did. All right, more than the weather, that's 87 degrees. I have something else after those two topics to follow up Kenneth's program from a couple of months ago, but we're going to start out with a couple of key things that is computer related. The second video is Windows specific, but it applies to, that's a double click here. This one is general information that applies to everybody. This is going to be presented, not live, dead, by our friend Huey Poplock, who did a live one before. He runs a Windows SIG, and that's different than our Windows Help Desk. The Windows SIG is a monthly meeting, like our Help Desk, supposed to be the third month.
And a good afternoon to you. It's such...
All All right, so that tells you I need to turn the volume down. I had it up real high. He runs a virtual Windows SIG. He used to be in Central Florida, now he's over in Tampa. He still does their Windows SIG. So he does it by Zoom, gets into their place like you did here before, does their Windows SIG. Now, the difference is our Windows Help Desk, we decided to design it where we're here to help you. You come to us with your problems. What you need help with, repair it. We change it. It's a help desk. Because usually what's expected in a SIG is somebody has to go to the trouble of building up a program. And everybody comes and just watches the program. So one person does all the work, and so he does it from Tampa over to there. Now the Central Florida group meets for a long time. They have the Windows SIG first, and then they have the general meeting. So Huey's got this one going, and anybody can get connected to his SIG. If you would like to get on his mailing list, we'll post that sometime. You can get on it, and you'll get a notice that he's going to have the SIG. He'll give you the Zoom thing. You click on that on a Sunday afternoon. It's always the second Sunday afternoon. We're the third. And you can just sit back and watch his stuff on Windows things. He's very knowledgeable in it. He's also knowledgeable in the Chromebooks. So he's going to be doing a presentation. Let me check again on the volume.
Sunday, July 8th, 2018. This is the Central Florida Computer Society and the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group, otherwise known as the WinSIG. I'm here with Bob.
We're going to stop because we're going to jump. So he does this every month, records it, posts it. So I didn't get to be on last Sunday afternoon, so I've watched most of it at my leisure. And anybody can do that. You can tap in live and just sit back. You don't really get, I guess you can try to do a chat and get involved, or he sometimes opens up the mic for it. So I'm going to jump to do, because the part that he's doing right now, and if you want to hear about it later, we'll do it, but this is the part we want to get to, 2430. Close enough. One of the things, and Mary Frances and I have talked about it, is that we work with files. But there's 4 basic kind of files. Document files, audio files, video files,
picture files.
Picture files, thank you. And it would be nice if it was that simple. But we have many document files, many picture files, many kind of audio files, many kind of video files. And to differentiate them, we add extensions. Letters to tell us what kind of a file this is. And a lot of people don't understand this system of extensions. That's because you're Windows users. In the Linux world, we don't worry about it because the computer takes care of saying, I'll check to see what kind of file type this is, and I'll do what I need to do with it. So in our world, we don't worry about extensions. We can have them, but the computer does it all. But in the Windows world, you need to know about extensions because we always have people come up and say, I can't open up this file. And the reason is your computer doesn't have a program that opens that kind of extension of that file. You might say, well, I've got a picture program. Well, your picture program only opens this kind of file, not this kind. You need a different program. So we're going to watch a session talking and hopefully explaining to you about file extensions and what you can do with them. Because there's one thing, I'm not going to give it away, I learned a while ago that you can do to file extension. I'm going, oh my goodness. So let's listen. Oops, I lost it again. 2412. That's good enough. So here's his website that you can, sign up and be on his mailing list. It's free. You can come to his website and get 10 years worth of back Windows help.
So, by clicking Find Files Fast, you'll find it.
That's the one we skipped over, Finding
That
Files.
article is the first one that's there, but later on, if it's not, and you can't find it, you can go into today's notes and it's there. The other thing I wanted to talk about, we don't talk about it enough to our newer users, and that is what's a file extension and why is it important? Let me make this larger. This is an article called What's a File Extension? And for those of you who don't know, there are usually two, it comes after the period in the file name, and it's either 2 or 3 characters long. Sometimes it's a .jpg, it's a .pdf, and so on. And Microsoft, in its infinite wisdom, turns the ability to read your extensions off by default. It says you don't need to know that. Well, you really do in some ways. File extensions are used by the operating system to identify what apps are associated with what types, in other words, what apps open when you double click the file. For example, a file named awesome_picture .jpeg has JPG as a file extension. When you open that file in Windows, for example, the operating system looks for what app is associated with JPG files and opens that app and loads the file. If there's nothing associated with it, it'll ask you, what do you want us to open it with? But when you look at the Windows Explorer, let's just go in and look at a folder. Notice, well, I'm going to get off topic if I do this right now, and I'll come back to that. Let's go into Documents, and let's go into the Windows SIG Virtual, which is what we're in, and by date, I'm going to go down to today's. Notice I have extensions at the end of each of these, and notice here, when I click on the cover, it opens it. And that's because JPG is associated with the program IrfanView that opens it by default. However, sometimes you have to set those, and like this one, when I open this, it's a text file. If I double click it, it opens up my notepad and has some information in there that I put in. And it's text, so it opens it up in Notepad, which is what my default program is. Now, if I had one that did not have a default, it would come up and ask me, what do I want to open it with? Or, let's take that cover again, and let's right mouse click, and you can go to Open With, and notice that because it has a JPEG as the extension, it knows that any of these programs will open up a JPEG file. And it says choose another app. If I click another app, this is what you would get if it didn't have anything. And we say, what do you want to open it with? You want IrfanView 64-bit? You want Paint 3D? Or you can actually then go to more apps and it'll say, okay, what apps do you have? Or do you want to look for one in the App Store? Let's say I wanted to automatically open a JPEG in Photos. If I just want to do it one time, I just click on that. If I always want to use this, in other words, change the default app, you'll notice what the icon is here for for the JPEG, if I say always use this app, it's going to change the default. When I do that, I say OK. It opened it. It opened it in the program that I have. So now when I close that and come back here, it should have the paint, and it doesn't. So let's try a different one. It's supposed to change the little icon too. Let's see if it does. I should have done that, like photos. So when I open it up in photos, so it did. So what happened was here, let's do that again. Open with, choose another app. Okay, and I want to always open this, and I want to click on photos. And I say okay. Okay, that time it opened up in photos. And if we come back, now notice that the icon has changed, and that's indicating that my JPEG file is now, the default program to open up JPEGs is photos and not Irfan View. And so you can change the default program for whatever you want, and that's associated with the extension. So the extensions are very important. Some different types of extensions are .doc or .docx, depending on which version of Word you're using. XLS or XLSX, again for which version of Excel you're using. PNG is a different graphics program format. HTML or HTML, if it knows it has that, if it has that extension, it knows it's a hypertext markup language, and will generally open your browser, open it up in your browser if that's what you have as the default. PDF is a portable document format by Adobe. EXE is an executable file. What if you don't see extensions on your files? Well, then you have to, because Microsoft left them off. And what you have to do is go to the folder options, and you can do that when you open up you've got a folder here, you go to folder options, go to view, home, and history, select all. I gotta remember where this is now.
Back where it was on the screen.
Manage. No.
But see, Microsoft made it hard to find it now. It's options.
When in version 10, it's now right here, and you can say file name extensions. If you turn that off, they go away. So if they aren't there, just click that box. That's under Manage in your Windows File Manager.
I can't even see this little extension.
And turn them on.
Back here.
Because you can have the same file name as a JPEG, as a PNG, as several items, and you really want to know what it is. So you can turn that off, turn that off or on. And this is the old way to do it within Control Panel. And you want to show all file extensions if this is, believe on a Mac. Okay, and what if I change the file extension? What if you can't just change a JPEG to a PNG by changing the extension. You have to use a program to convert it. And so if you just change the extension, it's going to say, okay, now that's a text file, so when I open it, it's not going to, or as a PNG, it's going to say, wait a minute, that's not a PNG, it's either going to give you gobbledygook, or it's going to say, I can't open the file, it doesn't have the right header. And so don't change always, you can change the file name, but don't change the extension, or don't leave it off when you change the file name. And then how do you change your program? That opens the file, and I did show you that. And so the extensions are very important. And when you look at a listing, and let's go back again to look at documents and just quickly just go down. And we're not worried. That's a zip file, so it's got like a zipper on the folder. But you can see that I have there's different icons here depending upon what the items are. If it doesn't know what it is, it gives just a picture because it's a .dat. I don't have anything associated with that. So some files may or may not have an icon associated with it. It'll just have kind of a generic icon. But it should show the icon. And then over here, it's going to say what kind of file it is based on the letter, unless you have a file associated with it. Then it's going to say it is, in your FanView PNG file, it's a JPEG file, because remember I changed that to Paint, or an Adobe PDF document. So the type that's here may be different on somebody else's computer when you're comparing and talking to somebody or helping them or they're helping you. It may have a difference in the type because of the file associated with it. So the extensions are very important in that way. Any questions on that? I don't see any notes from the audience online, and I don't hear anything from CSCS, so that's fine. We'll go on to the next.
And we'll come back to that. So the question is, and I don't understand why Microsoft turns that feature off by default. Because I want to show you why it's a real problem. Just my plain old it's too small, I can't see what I'm doing here. Plain old text editors, I don't need anything fancy. And I'm going to make stuff so that you can view. Larger. Oh, tool is in. Oh, there. That's search. Trying to find it and make it bigger so you can see it. Supposed to be large text. Anyway, so the reason that it's such a problem is that you have a file. So we're going to call it apple.jpg. Now let's see if I can make it large. For me. That's the problem with using a text. It usually doesn't let you change the size that much. So we're going to skip that and go to what we should have been doing. Close it out, save.
Hey, John.
You.
I might be able to provide some insight on the why.
Let you jump to fill in if I don't do it.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Because I do this from the... And this is stuff like we cover in our everyday computer stuff. And so now I can jump. So we've got that apple.jpg. And of course, the word processor wants to capitalize the first letter of a sentence because it learns... Okay, so we've got a picture of an apple. It's a JPEG, one of the versions. It could be a PNG, it could be a TIFF, it could be a GIF file, it doesn't matter. So we have it. And so when you see that file, it's an apple picture, you're going, oh, I want to see the picture of the apple. So we click it. Well, the people who are nasty and bad, you can name anything you want. So I have just written a virus. And so the virus could have been virus.exe,
Ooh, yeah.
because that's an executable file. But you would say, oh, I'm not going to open up anything that's a virus. Well, because I can name anything I want, I can call my virus apple.jpg. Now, if you are trained in computer like you should be, you would know that an exe file is an executable and it runs. You click on it and it does something. Okay. And this Apple will install a virus on your computer because I can change the name on it. So Microsoft says, you don't need to know those extensions. You know, you're not smart enough to worry about it. We'll take care of it. And so the checkbox says, hide everything from that last period. So it goes in and hides everything from that last period. And so now you're left with a file name called apple.jpg. And you, assuming wrong, say, oh, this is an apple that's a JPEG picture file. I want to see it. Well, actually, it's a virus called apple.jpg. And when you double click it, the exe says, run this thing, and you have now just totally destroyed your computer. So this is why in Windows, we recommend that you go in and undo what Microsoft said, oh, you don't need to have this, we take it off by default, and put it back on, so that you would see that it's actually exe with a double ending, because the Windows doesn't care that it's got two periods in it. Because you can name anything you want, however you want it. But the last, what it looks like is the .exe. And so, boom. Whether it's there or not, it runs it. John.
So the way they've got it set up, you don't see anything after the last period. However, if you saw anything after a period, you would know that there is another period.
No, the period's gone, John.
Yeah, but he's saying,
No,
if you're hiding them,
Because they're hiding them all.
How would you know that there's something there?
Because they have set the option so that you're not going to see the last period.
How did you know the option was set that way?
he's smart.
Because you told me. Are you lying?
Right. I told you, but did Microsoft tell you?
No, of course
No.
they didn't. There is.
Kenneth, did you want to add?
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of times making changes, you try to do things that make it easier on end users. Like, why do we need to worry about extensions? For the exact reason you're explaining, .exe, you're absolutely right, or .vbs, or .anything that could do something malicious. I worked at a law firm for quite a number of years, and I can't tell you how many times somebody would say, oh, I have this Word document, and I need it to be a Word perfect document. So I just delete DOC, put WPD, but when I send it to them, it doesn't work. Or I need a JPEG to be a PNG, or I need a doc to be a PDF. They really did this. They said, well, I converted it. No, you renamed it incorrectly, and sometimes they corrupted the document and they had to start from scratch. So they're trying to do us a service by saying, don't worry about it, don't change it. We just have to know, okay, look at it, see that it's there, but don't change it. Do the conversion correctly. They're really trying to help, but in turn they're hurting in other ways.
Well, because they turned off the last three letters.
Because they don't want you to mess with it,
Yep.
But
like he said.
which one are you going to click, folks? You would have said, without my telling you, you would have said those are the same thing. They're pictures of an apple. and you would have clicked one apple. Oh, that's a pretty apple. Let me click the other apple. Oh, my computer went crazy and shut down. Now it won't come back on. So it's because, John, they turned it off and didn't tell everybody that they turned it off.
And they didn't turn it off for everything. It's for known
Yeah.
file types. Let's add more confusion to it.
But-
But sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't.
All right. But since the bad guys know that by default the EXE will not show up, they put a dot whatever to make you think that this is a JPEG file, and that's it, all hunky-dory. John?
Are you going to show us how to look at the header so we know? what we're-
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Why would we look at the header? We just go into Windows and say, show those extensions. So you just go in, like Huey said, you go to your manage or whatever it was, and put the checkbox that says, I want to see those extensions. That's what you do. You don't worry about any headers because people don't know that, John. People aren't going to learn how to do it. They aren't going to remember how to do it. All they're going to remember is go into the file manager that's at the top, check the box that says, I want to see every bit of extensions. Because I want to see when they're going to try to trick me into clicking on something. Because I even teach, I can take a picture of a banana and call it apple. And so you come here and click on that second apple and a banana pops up. And you wonder, why in the world did this banana come up? Because I can create any file with any name I want. And any extra extension that doesn't mean anything. If there's two dots, the one that's in front to the left has no meaning to the computer. It just says, oh, that's the file name. Now, I will tell you too that you don't have to worry about adding extensions because whatever program you are using automatically adds the extension that goes with that program. So if you're using a text file, it would automatically, I don't have to do it, it would automatically add TXT. When you're using Microsoft Office, it will automatically add a doc or a docx or whatever they're using nowadays. Automatically. And so you don't have to worry about that. But files that get sent to you, that's what you worry about. Other questions about files, Mary Frances?
What would we have seen if you opened that with your Linux program?
It wouldn't have opened up because Linux doesn't open up exe files.
I just wanted to hear you say it. Well, you told me that everybody sitting here doesn't know that.
Oh no, I said we're talking the Windows stuff.
It shows it now.
I don't have to worry about that Linux because if you try to hide exe, it's not going to do anything. The computer's going to laugh and say, this isn't an apple.j. I'm not going to open up into picture one. Laura.
Right before I came, I turned my laptop on, and I hadn't had it plugged in for a few days. So I got this thing that came up from Avast Remediation EXE. And I thought, oh, it's an EXE file. I don't know if I want to click on that. And so I thought, well, I'll look it up on my phone or take a picture of it. Well, before I could do that, it disappeared, and my regular Avast, since I hadn't had my computer plugged in, it came on and started doing its weekly check. So I never did get to find out what that is.
And you didn't go into your search to search it up?
No, because that's why I was a little late getting here. I didn't get a chance to look at it. So has anybody heard of that? Avast Remediation, and it's an EXE.
Was Avast Remediation 2 words or one word?
I think it was, I don't know, I don't remember. I didn't get it, usually I'd like to take a picture of it or something to at least be able to refer to it, but I didn't get to.
may get into your computer during installation of certain free applications.
Extremely dangerous process.
Be pertinent to our conversation.
Also known as AKA KD.exe. Extremely dangerous process that can be found enabled in your computer. Particular process is part of a certain nasty adware that some of you, some way or another way, made itself into your computer. So I would definitely, you were smart not to run it until you do a check. Laura's caught on. She's come to enough classes that she says, if I don't understand it, I'm not doing it. So I would also have to, say is that, we would send an email to our friend Bob G, who's supposed to know about that. So, Laura, I would definitely go home and run your malware, spyware programs and run your AVAS.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would go home and run your malware, spyware stuff and run your AVAS.
Well, the AVAS was running when I left, so,
Okay.
but
Go home and-
yes, I can run the other things to see.
Yeah, see if they had discovered it.
Okay.
Thanks for the heads up.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought, well, how interesting is that? It happened to me right before I came today.
Yeah. Any other things on the file extensions? When you have programs, if you go into your computer, it'll tell you, or we can go on the web and find all the different extensions. Because there's text, there's doc, there's RTF, there's ODT, there's, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why we just can't have one, because we like to have different ones. And each program creates specific types of files. Some programs have the option of creating the default type, or this type, or this type, or this type. And so when you have that kind of a program, you can save it whatever you want. Like for me, using LibreOffice, if I'm going to send it to somebody who's a Microsoft person, I can say, don't save it as an open document, save it as a docx, or whatever version I want. And then it goes to them, and they open it up. The opposite is that my LibreOffice can open up just about any file that's out there. So I don't worry about it. So somebody sends me a WordPerfect, I can open it. Somebody sends me a Office, I can open it. Somebody sends me an old Microsoft Works file, I can open it. But not all programs can open up everything. For example, the text file. It can create text files and it can open text files. That's it. A text editor can't even open up a rich text file. Rich text means you can add color to it and size and whatever. But the rich text can open up a text file. Bob?
Is there some place that you can go and get a list of all these extensions and what they actually are saying?
We do this all the time here at Windows and Help Desk. Somebody comes up and says, I can't open up this file. And we try to open up and we go, huh. And so we do this all the time. We would go to, I'll use the we would go to here and we would say, what is WPS? And we would search. What is a no, that's not the right name.
Try something else, RTF or something.
Yeah, I was trying to do the worst one because it's so outdated one. And so we will just type in, what is a file? And we'd get a search. And then we would say, what opens a dot file. And then our internet will say, you need one of these programs. And we go look through it, and if we can find a freebie that will open it, we download the freebie, open it up. If it says you've got to buy this program, we'll say, okay, you guys got to go home and buy that program, install it, and then you can open it up. Because it won't open up in anything except what it was created with. So yeah, Bob, we do that all the time, because I don't know all the files, extensions, and every once in a while somebody has come through and going, never heard of that one. So we go look it up and we'll say, oh, that was made by a program that went out of business 30 years ago. And said, and here's the next page that says, here's what will open it. Nothing. I said, okay.
If you type in extensions, what did you get from the list of?
Oh, absolutely. If you don't want to see all that. This thing is getting in my way here. Open any file extension, so you can go there. You want to know about file extensions? It was a .org, so I felt safe in opening it up. And so you can go in here, and they will probably have, if you can see it, I can make it bigger. Control plus. Love that key. And if we go here, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 some pages of file extensions, just like a library. AI to CDR, AP to TPK. So yes, we would come to a place like this, and it would tell us what that extension is. Then we'd have to find out what kind of program makes it, and then we'd have to determine whether we get it or not. And so the same thing for graphic files. In the old days, Paint only created bitmap files, BMTs, or BMPs. That's all it did. Well, now the new Paint program will make bitmaps, but it'll also make this kind of a file. And so you can have it save whatever you want. So I think the key thing that we say is that it's best if you can find a program that has the ability to save in many different formats and open many different formats. Otherwise, you're going to have a program for this extension, a program for this one, a program for this one. You're going to fill up your computers with all these little individual programs as opposed to buying a multiple one, such as LibreOffice, such as OpenView, and the other one that I like is the Faststone. I can do one program that will open many and save it many. Okay? Anything else on files?
But for instance, that one looks like it's got a built-in converter. If you wrote, I want to convert from WKX, see up above there?
No.
No, way up.
Oh, yeah.
If you wrote from WKS to DOC, what would it tell me?
Well, let's find out. Check out some of the options. Found one software suitable in our database to convert that. So then you have to decide whether or not that's a good one. Let's see here, Microsoft Windows. Convert from a Works file to a dot file. Works can do a dot file, I guess. But see, it's a program that isn't used anymore. But I know that Works will open up in LibreOffice. So, yeah, extensions are tricky. Mostly when somebody sends you a file and you can't open it, I tell people, go back and ask them, what program did you use to create this file? Because I can't open it. and you might find out that they've got an old computer with a real old piece of software that's archaic and has not been updated in 20 years. But see, that if you use it on your old computer and use that software, hey, all hunky-dory, you can make those files, but don't think you're going to share it with anybody. Kenneth?
Well, I want to just add something. So LibreOffice, OpenOffice, there's a couple of them. Yes, they open lots of different types of documents, but just a warning, I've been back and forth between the two. I was in an organization that used both between different computers. I'd get sent a document, I had Word, and it was converted. The text is there, but if you do anything that's like a rich text-based document, your pictures are here, your text is there, you got frame, it's all screwed up. So it's not a perfect world, and it's not the program's fault. There are proprietary things that block them from allowing a full, complete conversion. So if you're working with somebody that always uses Word, well, you probably should just find a program that works with Word to do that part of your business or home life. It's not perfect, you'll get the text. It's pretty good, you still get the text. But if they say, do you see this? No, that's not there. It's because it was removed as a part of the conversion.
And see, I would come back at you and say, when you said it's not the software's problem, it most definitely is the software's problem. The writers wrote that intentionally so it wouldn't.
The originating software's problem, yes.
Microsoft software,
Yeah.
because everybody else but Microsoft, they'll all read each other fine. But Microsoft, because they're Microsoft, they have, like we say, proprietary stuff that's not open source, not available for anybody to see how it opens, and that's their intention. They will now read some of the LibreOffice or the open document stuff. They will open it up now, whereas before they could never open it up. But because open document is worldwide, they're having to kind of make changes. But they've not opened up their software so that everybody else knows how to make the conversion. So it's definitely their fault because that's the way they want to be.
Right, but it's not the converting one is what I meant.
Right.
The
but
program that's converting has no choice but to do.
Yeah, I can't convert correctly because Microsoft won't let me know what's the recipe.
Precisely.
Yes, so it's their fault. So my answer is, that's your problem. If you're using a software that won't convert it, use LibreOffice. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. Why should I have to pay for it? Just to be able to send you a file. You can download LibreOffice for free and get it. No big deal on that. Yeah, Bob?
Does Linux open any of these files from Windows that you might put on them?
I'm doing that right now. I'm running Linux right now in front of you.
That's a nice program he's got.
And because I'm using LibreOffice on my Linux, I can open up just about any Microsoft file except those that the person created them with some proprietary stuff in it. Because I use open source on Windows and Linux, and if I knew Macs, probably a Macs too. So yeah, Bob, I'm using it right now in front of your eyes. Right. To ask, how many people would be interested in knowing how in your Windows to reduce a picture? Because when you go to try to send it, your email says that picture is too big. You try to upload a picture to a website for some reason, and the website says the picture is too big. Huey can show us how you can reduce your picture without having to go to Mary Francis's OpenView, my Faststone, which would do it too. If you're interested in that, we'll watch it. If you're not, we'll talk about something else.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
All right, Kate. All right, so we're going to... Don't close out the computers. Don't save. All right, we jump to 54. $54.30. Close enough.
off and so on. Okay, are we getting to the time where I need to quit, or do I have a few more minutes?
A few more minutes, but he went like 15, 20 more minutes.
I did want to talk about resizing images and photos in Windows. This is an article tells me how to do it. But if you need to make a smaller version of a picture, and there's several reasons why you might, and you could do it within Windows, but maybe you need to upload a smaller version of a photograph to Facebook, although they do it automatically. But if you want to email a picture to somebody, it may be too big for your email program, for instance. A quick note on resizing images. The quality can be different from one program to another. And you certainly don't want to make a picture, you can't make a picture, you can, but you don't want to make a picture bigger from a small picture because it pixelates and really doesn't do it well. But if you're working with a screenshot or a very large picture, there are several ways in which you can reduce the picture. They say to use Paint. Paint is gone now. You have Paint 3D. And you can change the size. So the article is really behind, but let's take a picture. And I've got a picture out here. Let's just go ahead and go way over here in the corner. Minimize everything. And let's open this picture up. Okay, here's a picture of our dog at Halloween time. By holding my mouse over the picture, the icon, let me minimize it for a second here, and hold my mouse over it. No, I want to go to properties. It's 2.81 megabytes is the size of the file. It should show the details. Yes, 3,264 by 2,448 pixels.
Big.
So it's 7 megapixels. And so it's a fairly large picture. And we're open in Paint, which is...
I want to interrupt because somebody would look at that and say, well, that's not a big, large picture. You have to remember that the real picture and what you see doesn't have to be the same. You can shrink a picture to fit on your screen, whereas the real picture might fill up, the outside your monitor, but your computer will shrink it down so it fits in the window. And so that's why we get a lot of people thinking, well, that's not such a big picture, but that picture's been reduced, not resized, just reduced so it fits on the screen. It's a huge picture.
So, because I changed the default, I want it to be in, or not Paint, but Photos. And remember, I changed that, and I really do want to open it with, I changed the JPEG, and let's take any JPEG here. I have no idea what that is. So we're going to say open with, and we're going to choose another app, and we're going to tell it we want Irfan View, and we want to always use Irfan View. I have no idea what this picture is going to open up to. All right, it's an eagle nest in a tower next to us, but hopefully now if I close that, and now I double click on this and I open it, it is now opening it up in Irfan View. So you'll see that it's 100%, so we really need to reduce that. We're just going to say make it fit the image to the window. So it didn't reduce the size of the picture, it only reduced the way it looks on the screen. So if we want to reduce the size of the photograph, we can go to Image and Resize and Sample, which is Control-R will also do it. And I can change it here. And I've got it set to make it by pixels is what we have it. And I also want to do it and and make it so it keeps it in the same ratio. So if we change this to 300, notice it changes the height automatically to make it in proportion to that. And we say OK, it then makes a smaller version than if we say, and that's at 100%. So it went from that huge picture to now that, and if I say save as, and we're going to put it on the desktop, and we're going to call it smaller pic, and save it to the desktop. And we just did. And there it is here. We'll bring it down here. And now we're going to look at the properties of it. It is now 40K. It went from 7 megabytes to 40K. And as we said, it is now 300 by 225. And it's open, so when we double click it, it's there. That's what it looks like. And that's the actual size of the picture at 100% now, where the original at 100% looks like this. So obviously there's a big difference, a big savings of space, and much easier to email. Let's say we even want to get it smaller. Let's say we want it to be just a little thumbnail, an icon. A lot of programs have a problem with that. So what I have found, I've been using for years a program called Quick Image Resizer. And it looks like this. I've used it for years. I got it for settings. It comes, you can change any picture to extra large, large, and so on. And when you do that under large, it's going to change it to 1024 by 768, and so on. And their thumbnail, they said at 160 by 120. But I'm going to say I want to even go smaller. I want to go to a 50 by 38 pixel, and that's going to be a really small picture. But if I take that original and I just drop it in here, it is now made at 50 by 38. It's 1K, and you can still see the picture. I'm not sure how well it is on your screen, but it would be on your screen up close. It would make a nice thumbnail next to something at only 50 pixels. Now there's a very small thumbnail. And then all I have to do is bring it back over here. And because I have in the program to tell it with a -50.jpg, so it's now, when I open it, it's a picture that small at 100%. And it makes a nice clear picture of it. So that's what I use when I'm working on websites, for instance, or if I'm trying to move a picture from one place to another, I just drop it, I drag it into my Quick Image Resizer. I think it was about a $40 program at the time. I'm not sure what it is now. I need to put a link to that, to the program, but it's called DZ Soft, Quick Image Resizer. I've had it for years and years. Since 2007 is when I first bought it. And so I've been using it for 11 years. And I keep updating it, and the updates have been free. And so that's how I can change to any size picture that I want and then able to use it. Or if I'm sending something to you and your email won't accept anything larger than say a megabyte picture, or in some cases 5 megabytes, and this is a 7 megabyte picture to begin with, I can make it where it's still a nice clear picture for you, and reduce it, and then send you the reduced picture. And so this program tells you how you can do it manually, and then they talk about some third-party programs and how to do it. But I basically showed you how to do it. So let's see what else. How to use Windows. There is a Windows hidden video editor.
Yeah, but I think that he tried that and it didn't work.
Let me touch base with that. I'm not going to get to the last one, but I might be able to talk about it for a second. But how to use the Windows 10 hidden video editor. A lot of people don't know that there is a video editor in Windows 10, but it's kind of hidden. And how to edit a video file, open it in the Photos apps. And the Photos app. And then you can, so what we want to do is find a video. And let's see what else we have to do with it.
That's what
we
he
can
did
play
now.
it in the Photos app, and we
He
can
couldn't
edit
do
it.
it anymore with it.
Okay.
I thought he was showing how to do the sizing in Windows Photo app. Of course, Mary Frances would have done it in EarthenView. I would have done it in Faststone. But there's a pretty simple, easy way. In Faststone, since that's the one I use, I can go into Faststone and say, I want to be able to email this. And bingo, it will automatically shrink it, resize it to email size. And as he said before, you don't want to take a small thing and make it big. The picture's going to look all grainy and real bad. When you take pictures, the cameras nowadays, even on your phone, are really pumping up how many megapixels that you can take. And so you take these pictures, and when you look up on the screen, they look nice because your camera or your computer or your phone will shrink it down because that's the size you have to be able to see it. And then you go to send it to somebody and it doesn't work because it's too big. So you've got to kind of think. For example, I'm going to use Janet. Janet takes a lot of pictures on trips and then comes back and puts it into video things that people see on TVs or computer screens. She might put it on a disc for them to watch on the computer. So Janet then has to be thinking, why do I want to take a picture that's this big? Why don't I just take a picture that's this big to begin with, and then I never have to worry about resizing and trying to make it fit. And so you can do that in your camera. You can reduce the quality or the size of the picture, not the quality, and instead of taking a 20 megapixel picture, take a 5 megapixel picture. It's going to look great unless you try to blow it up this big, then it won't look good. But it's more usable for the size. So the programs can do that. Same thing happens. You take pictures and put them in a document. And if the pictures are big quality pictures that you've resized, they're still kind of big, your file is this big. And why does your document need to have a high quality picture when it's supposed to be fitting in 8.5 by 11 or less? Mary Frances?
Does your Faststone have an auto setting for thumbnails?
I have to be honest and say, since it's a Windows product, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I haven't used it for a good while. Yes, John.
It seems to me that this is, I remember that one of the cameras I had, I think you could get both a full-size version and a thumbnail of the same picture.
Some cameras, yes.
I don't know whether they all do that, but some do, I believe.
Yeah. Some cameras, if you have the big high quality, big ones, will take both a JPEG picture and a RAW picture.
Yeah.
And then you have the RAW picture that you can do all your photo editing with, and then you have a smaller JPEG picture that send to people, whatever. But I do think that there are some cameras that make a JPEG picture and then a smaller, that would be considered a thumbnail that you can use. But yeah, it's really neat. You know, you can make these. I've had to make little pictures of me to put up on. Well, we used to do it on the web board. We'd have our little icons of ourselves, and you had to have a small enough picture to upload it. So, you know, you take a picture and make it as small as you could. So there is some value on that. Yes, Jan.
I have another way to resize pictures.
Good.
Our little pug dog died, and I wanted to make a little monument, and so Online Service in Oregon was doing it for me, and the picture of the pug was supposed to be so many megapixels, and I looked at the properties, and it was way too big, and I just pleaded ignorance, so they did it for me.
Yeah, because they've got the software, they just want you to do it. The other thing would be too is, have you ever noticed when you send your photos to like Walgreens, that's where Dave Clement said that's, you know, Walgreens, they can do it cheaper than you can do it. And when you go and you say, I want this picture to be a 4x6, they will let you see what the 4x6 will be, and it will not be exactly what you want because the camera took a picture that's better at a 4x5.5 or something. And so it will convert it so that it keeps the picture that you want without adjusting it. So then when you get it in your packet, here's your 4x6, 4x6, and here's one that's just a tiny bit narrower or shorter, because to preserve the picture that you want, instead of a 4x6, it's a 4x5.5 or something. And also, that's why if you give them a small picture, you say, I want to have an 8x11 of this, or whatever the next size is, they'll tell you it's not recommended to blow up that picture because the quality will be not as good. So you kind of have to take the pictures according to what's your outcome. If you are going to do editing for reasons whatever, take big pictures so you can be able to edit things out and whatever. And if you're going to print out big posters, take big pictures. But if you're just going to do stuff on the internet, sending emails to people, boy, you don't need much. Well, you know, we all know that the old screens that we have, the square ones, are the 800 by 600. So if you take a picture that's 800 by 600, you know it's going to fill a screen, and it's small. Anything else? That's kind of it for who knew what we were going to do today. But again, oh, I'm sorry, Laura.
I just have a question on a curiosity.
Sure.
On my Android phone, I usually cannot, or I have never been able to send a video. Is there a way to resize a video? Now, I know people with Apple products don't have that problem, but for some reason my Android doesn't do it.
We all have it that way.
And so you can't resize.
I didn't say it could resize. Kenneth?
Yes, the answer is yes. What Android phone do you have? Motorola?
No, it's an old Samsung.
So Samsung uses their own app. I believe it's called Galleries. But Google has this wonderful app called Google Photos. And I have an LG phone, but I don't use their software. I use Google Photos. Because when you go into the video, for example, I took a video yesterday of my nephew, and he to send it to my brother, and I found the video, I hit share. You plead ignorance, as you said. It just does it. And it makes it small enough to send it to him where he can do it on his computer. So you don't even have to worry about how do I convert it down. You just say, you do it. Google Photos is the app I would use.
Photos.
You install it, it'll find all your photos automatically and just keep using that instead.
Yeah, we recommend that for anybody that wants to have a backup of regular photos and the videos.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Send all my photos up to the cloud then?
It does.
On my phone?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I have pictures on my cloud that go back, years, because I just uploaded them from my computer, and now there's thousands of pictures up there, backed up, and I can have pictures on my phone or up there, but I figure why take up space on my phone when they're up there, and I don't even realize it because when I go to photos, all the pictures are right there. But yeah, that's a problem. Apple has worked it out, just like Microsoft, that Apple to Apple things happen. The messaging between Apple and Apple is a lot easier than Android to Apple. So I'm the outcast because in my family everybody has an iPhone except for me. So if I try to send, sometimes when I send stuff to them, Google makes them go to a website to see it. It won't send it to them. So yeah, and the pictures are big. You need to see, because there's a way you can go into your files in your phone and see how big a 30-second video is. But yeah, go, and here's the other thing to add to that. If you put it up on Google Photos, you can send your friend a link that they can go to it and see it. Just that.
Not everything.
Not the other stuff. Just that.
Share.
Yeah. So you say, why send it to them? Just give them the link. Don't worry about it. Changing the size. Here, come and look at it. Anything else?
I have another question.
Okay.
It's not Apple or Windows related.
That's fine. I don't like Windows.
Several months ago or through the winter, we had a meeting and it was about getting off cable.
Yep.
And
Cutting
so-
the cord.
Cutting the cord. I finally decided to cut the cord. So yesterday my son put this particular antenna up on
Okay, it's broke now.
a 20-foot
Tower.
attached to the house tower. Anyhow, he put it to, I have 3 TVs, they're all HD, they're all probably 3 years old. And it didn't work on the 7-year-old TV. He didn't try any other TV, but he did what the instructions said to do, except call the 800 number. So I guess I have questions as to this Clearstream 2 Max, if I need something else, or if everything is supposed to be in this box to make it work. It came up with no signal. Any suggestions?
Check the source of the antenna that the TV's using. Make sure it's on the antenna and not cable.
I think he did that, yes.
Yeah, that's old
So
fashioned
should he
stuff.
try a different TV? The newer TV?
Did he point the antenna to
No, not that I'm aware of. He didn't go back up and point it. In fact, it's just at the peak of the gable of the house. It's not clear to the top of the tower.
You gotta point it to Columbus. You gotta move it till it picks up the signal.
This part of it, the front of it?
No, your antenna.
Yeah, but this is the antenna.
Okay, then you gotta move it around.
Move it around? Okay, that would be a suggestion?
Yeah, because I know that my in-laws, when they were back in the dark ages and they just got out of it, when they had the antenna from where they lived southeast of Lancaster, when they pointed their antenna, they could not get 3. They could either get 4 and 6 or 4 and 10, because to get the other one, you'd have to turn the whole antenna, big climb up one, and then you lose one and pick up the other.
Right.
You know, so.
My thought is too, we live north of Venata, and the trees that go towards Columbus are higher than my house. Could that be a problem?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Blocking
Should have
it.
thought about that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the thing we were learning on if it'd been on the VTC yesterday when the guy was talking about the ham radio stuff, is they keep talking about line of sight, and that the microwaves or something can get through one tree, and that's it. So if you had one tree in your way, not a big problem, but if there's more trees in the way, your signal's not going to get through. Bob?
I put one of those up down in Florida, and I'm getting about 30 channels on it.
See?
I'm not in Florida.
Yeah, and the big difference is you're flatter than we are up here.
Yeah.
I can give you another idea.
Yes.
Between your home and Columbus is a moraine built up from the ice packs. And I lived in Newark. I could only get USO on my TV because the moraine is full of iron. And we're not, the signal's fast. I think some man told Davy when he was talking about the tree interference, that on a on a day when your tree was heavily laden with rain, that
Wet
you-
tree?
Yeah, that you would have this big problem. Is that correct, Dave?
Well, it would change the efficiency of it, whether it would totally block it. You have to just use experience to determine that.
Yeah, we're not the experts on that part. We just learned that you can cut the cord from Stacy, but that's the technical end. It's just like I tell people, I'm not an electrical engineer. Everett's more of the electrical guy, so he knows why things work and why they don't work when it comes to electronic parts. I know software and big hardware stuff. So I had somebody trying to suggest for me to get one of those kind of things, but my house that we rent is a cinder block house.
And mine's aluminum.
Ooh, I would say, because we talk about interference for Wi-Fi with stuff in the walls at your house.